Hello, food enthusiasts and political junkies. Welcome to our third episode of
Los Leftovers,
the show where we talk about food, culture, and some news you may not have fully digested. I'm Huberto.
And I'm Daniel.
And we are your cultural connoisseurs. Well, today we're going to be skinny girls and just have some cafe with some avocado toast from Window Coffee. Plus, we have family coming, so more on that later today. But after some time, we are back in the studio. We apologize for the delay, friends, but we have been busy boys. We have been fighting racism, genocide, the barbs, and most importantly, we've also been moving. So we're in this new studio, as you can see. But who hasn't been busy? You know who has actually been busy? Our judicial system. Because as of yesterday, good old Donald Trump was officially convicted as a convicted felon on 34 counts on the whole hush money.
That was
trial.
crazy. Imagine being in a courtroom and hearing guilty 34 times.
That's crazy. Do you think they went one by one?
No, I do think, I don't know, the way... Have you ever watched Scream Queens?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, at the end of the first season when they're doing, the girls are, in court and they're doing the whole thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And they end up talking about, Emma Roberts is like, this is not a jury of my peers. Oh, yeah. This is a group of hippos.
Look at these hippos.
And the lady ends up being like, oh, she's so offended. And she writes down, she's like, we find the defendants guilty on all 37 charges.
That's so crazy.
I was like, I feel like that was what Trump had. He had a Emma Roberts Scream Queen meltdown in the courtroom.
Oh, I just know as the hearings were happening, I know you remember. Have you ever seen The Boys?
No.
Oh, do you know that one meme where you this guy's sitting in a theater and he just hears ringing in his ear? It's just
Girl, I don't know. Yeah, it's been so crazy. Astrologically speaking, right now, there's a transit in Jupiter and in Saturn, I believe. No, Jupiter and in Pluto. So it's I feel there's been so many crazy things happening in the public space, when you're talking about big profile people. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I know somebody else that heard a little ringing in their ear. In Amsterdam.
Oh, I wonder who.
Miss Ulrika Mirage. I'm not trying to... Well, actually, no. Girl, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Barb.
Listen,
not really.
Here's how I feel about it. Listen, I'm on Team Megan right now in this war that we are in.
As we can see,
but
Hotties merch.
I can't forget where I came from. I can't remember my roots. Nicki Minaj wrote Itty Bitty Piggy, and for that I will always be grateful. However, the lines have been drawn in the sand, and I am a hottie.
Oh my God.
And so I hope that she is free. I think she is free.
She is free.
But
all I have to say is that will be a day that will forever be cemented in the TL, the timeline on Twitter. The amount of amazing responses I saw to this whole situation. Everyone kept using this one video from SpongeBob of Mrs. Puff being thrown in
oh my God.
She's just thrown in jail and you just hear the slam of the door.
But I don't belong here.
That's basically what what is it? The Dutch police?
Yeah, that
the big door.
Door. Shit. Oh my
like,
God.
Oh my God. And the way she was so silent when they when she got in.
She also heard
I have never seen that woman so quiet. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh, the crazy boots.
Literally.
Crazy boots.
Boots the house down, mama, yes, God.
But also, speaking of crazy boots, have you been catching up on All Stars?
I have. It's been interesting so far. And I have a hot take for you.
Okay.
And this might be controversial, but girl, I don't care.
Okay.
Nina West has done more to harm the art of drag than James Charles.
I mean, I don't think that's a hot take. She gave one of the worst lip syncs recently, and it's like,
That was really bad.
yeah,
That was very, very bad.
yeah,
It was not good. And also, I don't know. For me, like, I'm trying to enjoy this season as much as I can. I love the girls, some of the girls, not all the girls.
Yeah.
Let's be for real.
yeah.
But like Gottmik has been doing great, whatever. I don't know, like it's just like I'm tired of like RuPaul's best friends race.
This is not RuPaul's best friend, Ray. Sherlock.
Yeah, I do need a little more sazon in the kitchen. I need a little more, like, I need girls to be cutthroat again.
No, exactly.
Like, I love that they all know each other and that we have this like camaraderie, but I need enemies in the same room competing. And I love that they're doing it for charity.
Always.
I do love that.
Yeah. Shout out to you for that.
Not for charity.
But I'm gonna need these girls to start like fighting for like real stakes.
No,
you know?
absolutely. Well,
So-
that's why I feel like this season in particular is just kind of like because it's like to a certain degree they are fighting
Right.
for like something that obviously is important.
That
all
matters,
of all of the charities are like wonderful. I know that we're making fun of Nina West, but like her charity she chose was what, the Trevor Project.
Yeah, Trevor Project.
Like love. Do you know what I mean? But it's just like to your point. Like I feel like, girl, just like let loose. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
You know, talking about like the drag race community, you know who I heard recently? I just found this out like yesterday. Have been like beefing.
Oh,
Kimchi and
Miss Eureka.
Oh my god.
do you believe the allegations?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I do believe the allegations. I do. I do. Unfortunately, I don't know. I've always loved Kimchi, and you know, although like Eureka seems nice or whatever, like I've never been.
You know, I used to like Eureka, but the more that I rewatched season 10, I was like, no, the Vixen was right. Like the Vixen was right. I'm sorry. Like I'm gonna,
right.
you know, but yeah. But speaking of Gottmik, going back to that really quickly, have you heard about like her recent runway that she did?
The last one from the last episode.
How she got like Republicans pissed off.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think it was what's her name? Forget her name. But some Republican lady was like, yeah, this is actually really misogynistic. I was like,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Candace Owens, but whatever.
Who knows?
I don't know. Well, you know who also makes Republicans mad? Us.
Yeah.
Constantly in Arizona. And more on that later with a special someone.
So we'll be right back.
Doodles. And we're back with a special guest in studio with us today, a friend of the pod, a friend of mine, Idali. Would you mind introducing yourself a little bit to our audience?
Yeah, of course. I'm Idali. I'm a part-time makeup artist, full-time activist.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Lovely. I feel like I haven't seen you in a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, a little MIA moment.
A
for
little.
sure.
And that's okay. And that's okay because we are taking care of ourselves first.
Self-care.
Self-care.
Always.
Absolutely. So are you excited to get into it? Are you excited?
Bring it on.
Absolutely.
ready.
Oh
I'm
my
literally
god.
ready.
So obviously, we know you do makeup. She actually did I did drag for the first time last Halloween. I was Carrie from the scary movie Carrie, but I was Latina Carrie, which was so much fun. Halloween 2023. We have a lot too. There was a lot going on that night. So like we know that you can beat a face. But how did you end up like again in the like nonprofit kind of like grassroots organizing space? Like what went from makeup to here?
Okay. I really like this question.
Oh.
I really like this question. Okay, so I started makeup when I was really young. Super, super young.
Were you like
I
a
was
YouTube
15.
vlogger girl?
Oh,
like...
absolutely not. I definitely tried. Flop. Flop era. Don't put me in that situation ever again. But you know, it kind of like just started progressing more and more and more. And I never really wanted to be a makeup artist, funny enough. My initial profession was going to be sign language interpreter.
Oh, really?
Big jump Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't
One
think you've ever
episode-
told me that.
Yeah, I was into it.
Can you do like? Can you sign your name?
No.
Do you know? Do you
oh,
remember?
Well, sign my name, like
Yeah.
CELSA,
Yeah.
or IDALI. Sorry about that, guys. Misinterpretation.
It's okay.
But yeah, so I did a lot of faces. I started off pretty low. Like I was charging people $20 for a face.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
In
At
this
16
economy?
though. In this economy, I was living at my parents' house.
Oh.
It's fine. But anyways, I started to feel an itch.
Uh-huh.
I want to say about 2 years ago, I started feeling an itch. I had a client and she used to come to me a lot and my price used to be 75, right? And then we started hiring or like heightening up the price. And she was very open with me, very vulnerable. And she was like, you know what? This isn't really a price I can afford. And I was like, okay. And I worked with her and I lowered the price for her. But then I realized that there was a lot of people in need when it came to even special events. You know, getting your makeup done is a luxury.
Yeah.
It's not an everyday thing. It's a luxury. So I ended up like telling my sister, she was in high school at the time, and I was like, hey, can you make a post and say I'll do really cheap makeup for prom and for graduation and for graduation pictures? And she said, yeah. And then I think I started at like 80, and then they would come to me and I'd be like 50, or like, don't even worry about it, girl. Like, don't even worry about it. And I would see their faces just light up. And I realized like just this little thing is changing people's like perspective and even their day, their year. And I wanted to do more. And I couldn't stop that like little scratch. By August, I was like, you know what? Get out of here. Like I have to get out of here. I want to help in a better way. And I found Lucha. And I've been an activist for a really long time. I was in the BLM movement. I was in, for our abortion rights and things like that. I wasn't in the Arpaio anything, but
I feel like we were all a little too young for that.
yeah, that's fair. I do remember though. I remember the pain and I remember what it caused. And I wanted to help.
Yeah.
I want to do more. So August came. I literally quit. Guys, I was working at Telemundo. I was working at Telemundo doing their makeup. And just one day I was like, here's my month notice. I'm going to do something else. Right? And then
Yeah.
a friend of mine was like, hey, this company is hiring. And I said, okay. Applied. Got it. Thank God.
And now we're here.
But now I get to see the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
You know, I never really saw the setup. I kind of just showed up with my sign and I was like, you know?
Yeah. It's a different experience.
It is a different experience. It's a different experience. It's a different setup. But you know, I don't think I would choose makeup over this. I don't think I would go back like that. You know, I think this is more important to me.
That's really gorgeous.
Thanks.
That's very, very special. I really like that. I really love that. I feel like I feel like a lot of people in like these progressive spaces like kind of have some of those moments. Do you know what I mean? And like for me, it was just like coming to terms. It sounds kind of stupid, but like coming to terms with my immigration status. Do you know what I mean? Like again, like
It's
living
not
in
stupid,
Arizona
though.
and
Yeah.
like with Arpaio y todo eso, like I remember growing up and my parents being like, "Ay, like no debías de hablar de like que eres inmigrante, que de esto, del otro, whatever." Do you know what I mean? And like I never like truly understood like what they were like hiding me from or like what they were trying to like block me from seeing and experiencing. Do you know what I mean? Y luego me recuerdo like my senior year, que andaba aplicando para el colegio y todo eso, like for scholarships, and like I realized like, wow, like I literally can't get anything.
Yeah.
Like something, I don't know if like I've ever like shared this out like with everybody, but like I like one of my dreams like still is like one of my dreams is like to like do clothes, like to be in like the fashion industry. Like mi mamá, todas mis tías, they are all like seamstresses by trade in Guatemala.
Yeah,
like
really?
literally all of them, hasta mi abuela. Like they
Wow.
all grew up and they all know how to work their way around. They have these old like singer like sewing machines and like the big
how you know
heavy
you're-
ones.
Yeah.
it literally looks almost like it's like the 1800s. But
Yeah,
girl,
yeah.
like they can work their way around that. Do you
That's
know
how
what I mean?
They're good.
No,
That's how
exactly.
you know they're good.
Because all the new ones suck. Like all the like plastic little like brothers, like those girls, messy boots. Messy boots.
Messy boots.
And like I grew up around like all of that. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think there was ever a time in my life where like there was not a sewing machine in my house. Do you know what I mean? Like where I like didn't hear like the de mi mama like helping like hem someone's like jeans or lo que sea. Like she would always do like little things. And like right now she's again like a seamstress by trade. Like obviously she had me and like my siblings, so like there was a time where like she wasn't really doing it like full time again. But I remember I was like, yo quiero ir, like I want to go to fashion school. Do you know what I mean? And like I want to be able to bring like my family's name into this space and into this world. And I have like a vivid memory of like it was like early on in like my senior year. I had found a fashion school in LA and I was like so excited, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And I remember getting a call and they were like, we literally can't do anything for you, like we can't offer you any scholarships, we literally can't do it. Like I was like, I was gooped, I was gagged. And like that,
I can imagine
that stuck with me. Do you know what I mean? And like I feel like I wouldn't necessarily say like that was the moment, but it was kind of the moment that really sparked me into being okay, like, well, what can I do? Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that sentiment has carried me throughout this moment of like, well, I can't do this because I'm not a citizen just yet. Fingers crossed. Hopefully soon. But I know that I can do other things. And I feel like that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, that, you know, I come from a very different angle of that. I wasn't aware of how scary it was for anybody until later on. I came with the privilege that my parents, they got their papers very fast, and I was born here. And so I never faced those limitations at all until I was with my ex-partner. And I met her family, and I was like, wait, why is everyone scared? You know? And then she kind of sat me down, and she like opened up my eyes. This was like 7 years ago, you guys. I didn't know people were scared to drive. Yeah. I didn't know that. And to be in your own culture and to feel so connected, but also be so disconnected, it's like eye-opening. Right. I started doing more research, and that's when like I started getting more interested into immigrant rights. When I started getting more interested into like telling them, hey, you're okay. They're not allowed to ask for your papers anymore. You know, they're not like, you're fine. You can go drive down the street. You missed it. Like you missed a stop sign. You're gonna just breathe. Just breathe.
So obviously, like for our viewers, everybody knows that, you know, like in Arizona, like we've been very busy. There's been a lot going on, like at the legislature, also just like in general, like in the state of the world right now. It's just like really crazy. I feel like we're always kind of saying that. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, like these are kind of unprecedented times, but like sometimes the unprecedented times lead into more unprecedented times.
Give us a break.
Please.
We need to breathe. We need to take a breather right now.
Oh my God, truly. But I wanted to see, like, I just wanted to do a little bit of like a temperature check with like a community member. Do you know what I mean? Like someone that like has kind of been involved a little bit in like what has been going on. And just kind of like see like where you're coming from and like how you're feeling in, again, this state of the moment. So I wanted to ask you if you could share a personal story or experience from this session that like has moved you, motivated you, whether that was like something that like you saw, like a debate, something like maybe you were at a protest or something, or like maybe a conversation that you had with like a legislator.
Yeah. So I want to say that I'm always pretty much motivated for this kind of thing. But I have one particular moment. It happened about 2 weeks ago. I know, not that long ago. But about 2 weeks ago, I was making calls. We were trying to get as many people to get to the Capitol as fast as possible for a last minute rally, right? My dad was on my contact list, right? And I was like, okay, I'll call him. Do you guys know Mexican dads? They're not political at all, right? They're kind of like, we're here. That's it.
We just kind of exist.
Yeah, we kind of just exist. Well, I give him a call, and I'm just kind of like a hee hee ha ha moment. And he answers, and he's like 10 toes down all the way in.
Wow.
It caught me by surprise.
I mean, like, I feel like that would catch me by surprise too.
Yeah. He then starts going about Arpaio. If you guys know about Arpaio days, not good. He used to be in the rallies and the marches, and he told me his stories, and that just motivated me more. And all I wanted to do was, first of all, cry. Who doesn't want to cry after hearing your dad say these things? But also just like, I want to fight. And I don't want this bill to pass. Bill being HCR 2060.
Yeah,
But
that I feel like that's really special. And I feel like sometimes, at least like when we're talking about like political spaces, I feel like sometimes like we get so caught up that like it's difficult for us to kind of like connect with those around us that are like so around us, you know what I mean, like our parents sometimes, which is like kind of fascinating because like to a certain degree I feel like a lot of the movement has like in Arizona in particular has been built like around like las mamás. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes a veces like we get a little caught up of like, oh, like no te preocupes, yo lo voy a hacer, que sí que no. That like we kind of forget like, no, they do have a story and their story is important and it does matter. And it's something that we should like share a little bit more. So I think that was really cool. I wish my dad had the same response, girl. Like he was just kind of like, he was like, cause like I've been talking to like my family members about like this whole situation because it's like, you know, as a child of immigrants and as an immigrant myself, do you know what I mean? Like, especially when we're talking about like things that are happening in Arizona, it's like whatever ends up passing or not passing is going to like affect my family. So I want to make sure that they stay like as informed and as educated as they can be. But on that point, it's not like they're like, yes, like let's go down and like do all this other stuff. But I feel like they're trying to keep other people, other mamas, my other tias informed as much as they can. And I feel like they're doing their own part in the way that they know how.
Yeah. Funny enough, let me just mention this real quick. I was in a group chat with my family, right? And here I go, and I'm like, here's us on the news when we did that whole thing, Stop the Hate.
Yeah.
Remember? Okay. I send it to the group chat, right? And then my dad goes, you understand that we would have never known about this if you didn't send it to us. It's so down low.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that is what we have to do. We just have to keep people informed.
No, absolutely. And I feel like that is like that is what like different grassroots organizations really do. And I feel like I would consider it one of the most important things that grassroots organizations like should be doing is really, you know, informing the public. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's that one phrase? It's like communal help, algo así. But that's kind of what we're doing. I feel like that means like providing services, doing all these other things, like helping people like voice their opinions and whatnot. But it also greatly, you know, is keeping our audiences informed. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, information is power. And if like Fox 10 or El ABC or quien sea like isn't like super talking about this in the way that we feel necessary, we have to take it by our own hands and like make that shit happen.
Exactly. That's
So,
exactly what we have to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like obviously, like again, we were saying like there's been so much going on since the session started, like a lot this month. But how has that been making you feel? I feel like obviously like whenever we're talking about these like situations, we can kind of be like, oh, like very tas, voy a hacer esto, voy a hacer lo otro. But like I want to know a little bit about like your emotions, like how that has been how that has been stirring inside of you.
You see, I like initially I want to say angry, right? I feel like that's everybody's angry. But then if I really dig deep, I want to say I'm just disappointed. You know, I'm disappointed with our legislators. I'm disappointed in Arizona as a state. I feel I thought we were past these things.
Absolutely.
We're like we're 2024.
No, dead ass.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would say mostly disappointed, definitely a lot of anger. But with that being said, motivated.
Yeah, there's there's a hope to it. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I totally agree. I feel like I've been just like very, very frustrated in these unprecedented times. Do you know what I mean? Where it's just like, girl, to your point, why are we still doing this? Do you know what I mean? Like, why are we wasting our time on these like dumb things? Like, we still haven't passed a budget. We still haven't done all these other things. It's like, I'm so tired of seeing like people that are voted into office literally rather like have a whole circus of things going on instead of like actually getting things done. Exactly. It's very frustrating. Mm-hmm. But to that point, like I know that historically in Arizona, there have been a lot of, you know, representatives that have stood 10 toes down. Do you know what I mean? That have like been, again, like doing what they can for our community and like flowers to all of them. Do you know what I mean? Like some of them, all of the flowers. And like some of those people are like still in like the legislature now. So it's like all of the flowers to them there. But like, obviously like, si se puede, like we just got to keep going. Like paciencia y fe, diría mi mamá.
Yeah. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, moms of all the world. I feel like also like in that space, like in that mindset, you know, like obviously like dealing with our emotions and dealing with like just like everything that's going on, like being informational and, you know, informing people, but at the same time like having to deal with like all of your own emotions. What are some things that like you've been like challenges that you've been seeing personally for you or for other people, like engaging in like policy and politics like this session?
I mean, there's been two really big things, you know, abortion, our abortion rights, and then as well as our immigrant rights and the border and all of it, you know. But I would say, funny enough, the biggest challenge would be grouping people up, you know, having people consistently show up to the Capitol, consistently show up and like sit in there and see what they're actually doing. It's easier in the beginning, but then they start pushing it back. Yeah. You know, they had a vote set about 2 weeks ago. Did they push it back?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what they've been doing. And to your point, I feel like it is very, you know, like telling of this whole like circus of like they don't even have their selves together and they're still trying to like do like dumb things. It's like, girl, be for real. What are you doing? They don't know what they're doing. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like how often do you push back a bill, right? And then see how upset everyone is. Like, hear us out. Can you not see how angry we are? Can you not see that this isn't right? They don't listen, you know? Yeah. And again, it's like that is very frustrating again, because like these are elected officials. It's like if all these people are showing up, even if they're not necessarily your constituents, do you know what I mean? Like maybe they're not in legislative district number like 13 or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like our community's voices still matter and are still important. No, yeah, like I feel like there's been so many kind of like, to a certain degree, like scare tactics and all this other stuff. And it's just like, it makes me very frustrated because like there's something that like, you know, like a policy person that I know like always like tells us and like has to remind me sometimes. It's just like, these spaces are our spaces. This is the people's house. This is the people's Senate. Do you know what I mean? This is the people's like, you know, like legislature. And like, try as much as they will, do you know what I mean, to like scare us and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, that is true. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to make sure that I'm here, I am representing my community, and I'm bringing my community to make sure that our voices are heard. But girl, but obviously, do you know what I mean? Like our legislature has power. Like they're the ones that pass bills and everything.
Yeah.
Like we can't
How
really
it
do
works.
it. I know. We can't really do anything without them. But what do you see, like, what role do you see like grassroots organizing playing in like changing like policy in Arizona and all of that?
Grassroots organizations are vital. You know, I couldn't even like make it less than what it really is. Like they're vital. We're taking community members, just your regular schmegular people. We're grouping them up and we're making noise.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing. If you really look at it, we go and we knock on doors here and there, right? And we group people. Sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so basically what we do is that we bring the community together and when we also let them know what's happening, right? Not everybody is in the Senate. Not everybody is knowing what's happening right now.
Absolutely.
Nobody stays informed. We have full-time jobs. So what we do as a grassroots organization is we get out there. We get everybody out there and we help them.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like sometimes we can kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit of like, pues no queremos hacer esto, queremos hacer lo otro, que sí que no, que vamos a hacer it. Like, and I feel like it really comes down to it. It's just like, to your point, it's just like bringing people into these spaces and also like just keeping people informed. And I feel like I would like to believe that everything else kind of like falls into place. Like we'll figure these little things out like as we go. But I feel like we have to like focus on like the core of like what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. And I feel and this is like a larger conversation as a whole, but I feel sometimes that, como se dice, like progressive groups and progressive organizations just kind of feel like, oh, if we do this or if we do that, everything's going to be okay and everything's going to be fine and everyone's going to pay attention. But I really don't feel like that's the case sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it really comes down to like centering yourself and like, again, like what you really are trying to do. And like, I would like to know like your opinion a little bit on that matter. Like, what do you like? What are like tactics? What are things that you think that like progressive communities in Arizona should be doing more of?
I think we should be getting together a lot more. We need to be getting together a lot more. That's how you spread the information. That's how you keep people educated, staying focused, staying strategic, staying informed. We have somebody actually that goes and literally keeps us informed because it's that important. Do you know what I mean? That's their literal job. And if we didn't have that, we're not going to have anything. Nothing is going to progress. They're not going to hear us. Legislators are not going to be like, oh my God, they're not loud enough. You know, there's not enough people. That's 10 people. But in reality, we have hundreds and hundreds, and it just keeps building, and we just got to keep building, you know?
Yeah, I get that. I agree. What are like things that you are hopeful for, like for the future when we're talking about like legislative sessions of, you know, whatever years? Like what would Idali like to see?
I would like first bodily autonomy. I feel like that's fair, right?
Yeah.
But also I want my family to feel safe. I want my community to feel safe, and to sit here and tell you they don't feel safe right now hurts. It breaks my heart. I think in the future, if we get to feel safe, I hope we do, fingers crossed, it would just elevate the way that we live, you know, live free, live good, build community, and yeah.
I love that. Well, I just want to say thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in. And like, I know like this could be a little like you're being a little vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? Like we're all being a little vulnerable. And I feel like that is kind of the beauty of what we do, especially when we're talking about, you know, like these progressive spaces. Do you know what I mean? Like it sometimes we can get lost in the sauce, but I feel like, again, our stories are important. Our stories matter. Our voices are important. Our voices matter. And I just wanted to say, like, you're seen I love you. Thank you for coming
I
in.
love you.
And let's kick some ass in Arizona. The fuck? Well, it was lovely having you here today. I loved to get to know you. I feel like obviously like we're friends, but like
Yeah.
getting to know you again, like in this like different level in this different space was really special. But obviously we want to make sure that you have a little moment to plug anything. Do you have anything you want to plug?
I have one plug.
Okay.
You guys can follow me on my personal. It's where I post all of the rallies that we're gonna do or any activism, protests or things like that. And that is at IIDDAALLII. So it's Idali, just double everything. That's about
Idali
it.
squared. Lovely. Well, I will see you not in the studio soon. We need to do some stuff. But we'll talk later.
Outside of this. Bye.
Toodles. Okay, we're back. So, Huerto, tell me, what did you think about our sister, our lovely friend of the pod, Idali?
I thought she was amazing. I love her to death. And I'm so glad she was able to stop by and like talk to us about what's going on at the state legislature. For you guys who don't know what's happening, feel free to check out our latest episode where Lena had talked about what's going on at the state legislature. There's a lot of anti-immigrant legislation happening right now, and it's continuing to happen, unfortunately. So, right now we're in this moment where we just need to continue fighting. So if you want to know what's happening, just visit lucha_AZ. We're going to have updates there all the time about like the rallies that's going on, information about this anti-immigrant legislation that's happening. But I'm glad to have her here. I'm glad that she was very vulnerable and she was able to really tell her story. And hopefully, it brings, again, more people into the movement. Because I think that's what we need right now. We need a lot more people to stand 10 toes down and on big business.
Absolutely. And I feel like that always ties into our little catchphrase because at the end of the day, when we eat together, we
win together.
Period. Till next time, babies.
Bye.